Thank you everyone for being here. It's a great pleasure also to introduce and to deep dive into what's really digital nomads, about what's the concept, what's the regulatory framework, and how can we make it concrete from legal perspective, but also from people who have real experience in there. So I'm very happy to introduce you to Victor. Victor is working at the BDO in the labor area, so we'll be advising about the regulatory framework. Like Inmaculada, will be also introducing us about all the regulatory framework and how concrete people can travel and can set up in Spain. We have the pleasure of having Camilla. She's working for Ashoka, which is one of the biggest, or even the biggest network for social entrepreneurship. So she's got a great dedication. She used to work with Oxfam, with a lot of that kind of environment. So she'll be making it very concrete. And Thomas also, we went to school together more than 20 years ago. Now he's set up in Belgium. He went in Spain for a Belgian company. He will maybe introduce it better. And after some times, he also set up his own company, which is really focusing on hair capture, which is a very innovative infrastructure to he'll be talking about. But maybe let's deep dive onto the first question. And maybe from the regulatory framework understanding, because we're talking a lot about digital nomads, about people, foreigners who wants to set up in Spain. So we'd like to understand a bit more what's the real framework behind the concept. So if you can just explain us a bit better.
Thank you, Hubert. Regarding the actual regulatory framework, we should start stating that the actual law does not contemplate the exact term of digital nomad. What law states or law refers to a specific concept that are the so-called cross-border remote workers. So that's the exact term that the law refers to, and refers exactly to cross-border remote workers that develop their services throughout digital means. Those are like the two characteristics of the digital nomad that the law refers to. The thing is that here, at least from the Spanish perspective, the law differentiates two kind of digital nomads. In first place, the digital nomads that comes from a country of the European Union, and in second place, a digital nomad that comes from a third state, different from a member state of the European Union, and gives a different treatment to each of them. So this is like the standing point from the regulatory perspective.
From an immigration point of view, for non-EU workers, from non-EU citizens, the law passed, it's recent, because the law that regulates this type of visa passed in December of 2022. That means it's really very recent, and defines what is a digital nomad. That actually the name is international teleworker in the law. And also, what does is sets up the requirements, sets up the process to apply for this kind of visa, and also the time frame. And it's very, very important to differentiate two types of digital nomads. There are like the employees, that means it's like a digital nomad that works, it's like a non-EU citizen that works abroad, it works in a third country, and works for a company that also is set up in a third country. That's what we call the employee digital nomad. And then there is it's very important to differentiate that there is another kind of digital nomad, that is the self-employed digital nomad. That means it's like a person who is a non-EU citizen that works abroad Spain for a company or different companies that are also set up abroad Spain. That's very important, this to differentiate these two types of digital nomads. And also I think the law, it's a recent law, and what the Spanish administration did is, his aim was to attract talent. And to do that, to be able to attract this talent that it's abroad, it's not in Spain, what they did is like to establish like a process that is simple and is fast. It's incredible that the processing time for this type of visa is 20 working days. And also it's important to differentiate with other types of visas that could take like 3 to 7 months to process it.
Yeah, and let's maybe switch on the concrete things. How did you make it? I know Camilla used to be working in the US, in Spain, in Barcelona, and now maybe I'd like to understand a bit how did you make it? How easy was it? Of course, the law has changed recently, but how concrete is it?
Yes, I bring with two perspectives, two hats, as we said here in Spain. On the one hand, my experience, my experience as a person, as a citizen of the world, as I define myself. I'm from Uruguay. Then I moved to the States. Then I lived in Italy, that also have family there. Then to Argentina, then Barcelona. Now I'm living here. I have this experience of these different countries and different cities that made me realize how fantastic and how easy it is to live abroad, to live in different cultures and with different experiences. And on the other hand, now I'm the director of communications at Ashoka. That Ashoka is the main, as Hubert said before, the principal, the leader network of social entrepreneurs. We work in 97 countries. We have 4,000 social entrepreneurs in all over the world. And most of them are digital nomads. So I discuss a lot with them their fears, their happiness, their experiences, and their point of view. So I'll try to put these two things and to this experience on these words. Basically, my experience here, I arrived 8 years ago to Barcelona, thinking that I was staying for 6 months, and I stayed for 8 years, now 9 this year. Because Spain has this incredible, as we learned before, it has these incredible open doors to people that want to be entrepreneurs, to have social innovation, to want to work. And the main thing is the flexibility that Spanish culture gives, the environment that we have, the culture and the integration, and basically, to sum up, the equilibrium, the balance between the life, the personal life and the professional life. That is something that I didn't find in Italy. I didn't live in Belgium and Luxembourg yet, but in Spain, it's incredible. And that's why I think people like me decide coming here to have this experience.
And Thomas, as a Belgian citizen who used to be there, how concrete, how lifestyle and administrative stuff, how did you make it?
Yeah, no, I mean, first of all, I must say that, yes, I've been living here in Spain for now about 7 years, so I did not benefit from the digital nomads. I was not existing at the time, so it's a shame, but there was still this special tax regime, the Beckham law anyway. But it's something which is nice. At the beginning, you get it, but at the end, I went through that, and now it's gone, but I'm still here. So it's not only about tax regime or whatsoever. It's about lifestyle that Spain is giving, really. And if I need to, let's say, look at it from a personal note, for me, there are really two main things. For me, it's the sun and the people. You know, sun, Spain, you have 325 days a year. I was Googling it yesterday just to make sure I was not saying stupid things, but realized it's 325, and I started Googling Belgium, and we directly were talking about hours, not days anymore. So it was like 1,000 hours or so. And I mean, this makes the whole difference, really, because look at this day to day. You wake up, I mean, everyone is smiling, I mean, is happy, and it's probably also one of the reasons why people are friendly and also welcoming. You know, I always remember when I came in Spain here, in 2017, I was not speaking Spanish. I mean, very bad. I had 2 or 3 months of Spanish courses with a Colombian teacher. She was not even giving me the Castellano. It was not the same words. And from the beginning on, I always said to myself, I need to practice. I need to use Spanish as much as I can. And so all my customers, they suffered my harsh pitches, with very, very, very difficult explanation with a bad Spanish. And I did that for 3, 6 months, 1 year. And instead of stopping it and saying, okay, we switch to English, they said, oh, it's good. I mean, how much you improved your Spanish skills at the beginning. And this kind of encouragement of encouraging to keep on doing it really showed me to what extent Spanish people are welcoming and welcoming foreigners. I mean, in the business context, but also in the personal context. So for me, it's a really great experience on a personal side, but also on the professional side. I mean, it's not only we are not only here to have drinks and enjoy the sun. I mean, it's also about the professional, and for that I must say in my 2 adventures. I mean, I'm now general manager of a big cooling company where I'm leading the operations here in Spain, and I started a startup dedicated to carbon capture, and in both cases, I really found it very easy to find talented individuals. The profiles that we need are usually engineers, project managers, project engineers, and I found that you can find an excellent value compared to and at a very competitive salaries and very, let's say, advantageous conditions and flexible as well. So I really think it's great. I mean, from the personal or from the professional side, I really recommend Spain as a nice location to start or to develop a business.
Thanks for the advertisement about setting up in Madrid. So I can tell you it's amazing living here. I like also to see, okay, moving forwards from maybe regulatory perspective. How do you think that digital nomad can impact the local economy, and maybe tackling a bit also about the social aspects? How do you see it moving forwards?
Well, I actually think that, of course, the impact of digital nomads in the local economy, I think it's a positive impact for sure. I think it's an impact very similar, or an impact that in the end has to other phenomena, such as remote work itself. I think it's a new modality of work that has obviously a positive impact. I can think, for example, here in the case of Spain, we have a new regulation after the COVID pandemic, because not only it was necessary, but because it has obvious advantages. For example, I can think in the rural environment or the rural world. I think it has obvious a good and a positive impact somehow to revitalize that aspect of our geography, and also the same or the positive impact that has, for example, tourism. I think is the concept of digital nomad somehow has those two positive aspects here, at least here in the Spain, with the experience that we already have. So I think that from a regulatory perspective, the interest that a country should have is to create or to establish a flexible legal framework. And of course, a legal framework that gives, this is a very important thing, that gives legal certainty to people that are working here in Spain.
Yes. From immigration point of view for non-EU citizens, I think I'm really optimistic about the impact because the Spanish administration has given us and the digital nomads the tools to make this impact like a favorable impact. That, for example, family members that comes with the applicant, with the digital nomad, can be in Spain with the applicant, can work in Spain, and also it's important to say that the digital nomads that, I mean, we have like a lot of clients that they come here as a digital nomad with digital nomad visas, and then what the law makes it easier is to change it. For example, because the thing is, like, a digital nomad can only telework in Spain, cannot like do business in Spain, go and visit clients. I mean, it's just like a teleworking work. That means it's important that the Spanish administration, knowing that and wanted to make it like a favorable impact in Spain, allows the modification of this type of visa. For example, imagine that you are here as a teleworking and you find like a job in Spain and they offer you like a position. You can modify this type of visas to, for example, a highly qualified position in visa. Or you want to start a business. You can modify this digital nomad visa to a new visa that allows you to create and to work on your business, your own business. I think that's important. I mean, and that makes a good impact for people to want to come to Spain. And also another thing that I think it's also important is like knowing that digital nomad can only telework. The Spanish administration thought that it will be a good thing to allow 20% of the professional work to do in Spain for Spanish companies. That means I think that's a way of integrating the digital nomad, not be just like at home, like working and like isolated. And also I think it makes a good impact to Spanish society and Spanish economy.
Yeah, I think that the integration is something very important. So we've been hearing that the Spanish are very welcoming foreigners, let's say, nomads. I understand from Thomas and Camilla that you haven't benefited much from the regime that's now in place. So maybe diving into, okay, so moving forwards, you have at Ashoka in a Captur, you want to set up, you want to expand. Do you think that's something you will rely on, that you will benefit from or populate amongst your organization to bring more talented people?
Yes, we are, Ashoka is, as I told you before, in 97 countries. And in Europe, we are the office that has more expats, more people here because of the benefits. So, of course, they want to come from all over Europe, basically because of the sun, it's true, but also because of the equilibrium, of the balance, of the type of work. And yeah, we are the office with more employees. Also, what Victor was saying before, in 2020 with the pandemic, we had to change. I was in Oxfam by then, and also we have a lot of flexibility of smart working in our houses. We can work from all over the world, and I don't know if in other countries it can be implemented so easily like in Spain. And now, all in Oxfam before and now in Ashoka, for us, the flexibility is a must. After the pandemic, after all this came through, after the new laws of digital nomad, we can work from whatever country we want. We have 4 days a week. We have unlimited vacations. We have a lot of flexibility and work conditions that we are the first country in Europe that implemented. That's why I think it's really good that Spain it's one step forward and trying to also give the example to other countries. So yeah, that's my whole experience.
And Thomas, from your perspective also, because I've been also setting up a company in Spain, so I know there's a lot of things in place that are really welcoming strangers, but I know that at some points you have some administrative burdens just to set up, to follow up. Spain is not the easiest country also in terms of administration. So how did you make it?
Yeah, no, that's true. That's true. Because when we launched Captur 2 years ago, we set it up in the UK. So it took us 2 hours and £350, and it was done. We had the company incorporated, and last year, because we were hiring people, we opened an office here in Spain. So it was not the same story. I mean, to take a train to go to London to have a document, the power of attorney notarized. When I came back, it took approximately 2 months to have the company set up, and cost us about 1,000 to 2,000 euros for lawyer fees and stuff. So I think Spain has some advantages, but the administrative burden sometimes can be complicated. It's not only to set up a company, but I don't know if it's something about Spain itself, but Spain really like notarized documentation. So it's like you need to go to the notary for everything. And that sometimes makes it very complicated, costlier, and it takes time. But okay, I mean, it's not it's not a deal breaker. You need to cooperate, you need to plan accordingly, but that's it. I mean, it's only administrative burden, let's say, and so you can get over it easily. There are other advantages that justify, let's say, this additional investment, if I may say.
Okay, thank you. And so we see there's a lot of attraction in Spain, a lot of demands from people moving to Spain. So you see how Spain wants to capture it in terms of legislation, and how do you think trends are moving forward? Do you see a lot of people, a lot of demands in your day-to-day life?
Yeah, well, I think that, as I was telling previously, the main interest that a country should have, if the country wants to attract this kind of profiles, is to offer a legislation based on 2 points. Flexibility. I'm thinking now, for example, let me focus in the European Union spectre. In the European Union, we have like a framework agreement for several countries of the European Union that have signed that agreement. And it's actually an agreement that offers flexibility towards social security, for example. Allows people that comes here to Spain to work to maintain the social security regime of the country where the company to which they work is established. But for example, it is a legal regime that is mainly focused on, let's say, ordinary employees, but not self-employees or freelancers or somehow. So I think that legislation must improve in that aspect, also to extend to the figure of freelancers, self-employees, and give them also legal certainty regarding this in this case, the social security regime, for example.
Yes, I mean, actually that's a good point, because we have at the office like a lot of questions regarding social security. I mean, where the digital nomad needs to contribute. And if we are talking about like non-EU citizens, I mean, it's clear that Spain wants them to be covered by social security. But the thing is, it will depend, in this case, it will depend the country this person is coming from, and if there is like an agreement, a social security agreement between like the country he's coming from and Spain, for example. And then here we have to differentiate if it's like, for example, if it's an employee, like it's not a self-employed, this person, if there is like a agreement between Spain and the country he's coming from, he will be covered from, he will cover in his home country. That means he's not gonna contribute in Spain, he's gonna contribute in his home country. But imagine that like India, like we have like a lot of clients from India because they are like high tech and they can perform their work here in Spain. There is no like a bilateral agreement of social security between these two countries. Then the thing is like they need to contribute in 2 countries. That means this is something that the employer needs to take into account, because this is gonna be like a double cost for like to have like a digital nomad working in Spain. And for example, this is for like workers, but if we think about like self-employed, like freelancers, that's very easy, because if they are digital nomads here in Spain, for sure they will need to be registered with the social security in Spain and contribute in Spain. I mean, this is like a question that it's very important, because it could be like much more expensive if you need to contribute in 2 countries.
Yeah, I think also the concept of corporate Erasmus, like some may call it, also to allow people to move and to discover the culture, which is very key. Just maybe before having a Q&A, I'd like to just asking every one of you, which advice would you give, or would you give to someone who would like to come up, not apart from all the culture and the lifestyle, definitely, but if they want to set up, which advice from your personal notes would you give to someone?
Well, I have some advices. I'll first said study a lot. Study the language. It's important. Study the culture, and study what it's about. The law, like everything. There are a lot. This is also a trend. There are a lot of people trying to come to Spain because sometimes I feel this is the paradise and it's so easy, but it's really important first to study what is going on, the laws that we have, the documentation is really important. It's not just coming and try to be a digital nomad. It's also being responsible of the country that you are arriving and studying everything that you need. Second of all, be really respectful with the culture, with the language. Again, there is a movement also in Barcelona, also in Madrid, called Guiris Go Home. I don't know if you learned it before. Guiris, the concept is the Northern Europeans. Yeah, they're putting the faces there. Yeah, you're a Guiri, for example, for Spanish. And this is something that it's actually blocking some agreements, some work, because there's a culture confrontation between the Spanish, the locals, and on the other hand, the Guiris, the new arrivals, and that they don't adapt to the culture, adapt to the language. So it's something important to be respectful with their culture, with the traditions. Spain it's a country of traditions. And it's amazing if you learn it and if you are part of it, but it's important to respect it and to be part. And then pay your taxes, be a good citizen, and try to be part of the legal frame, and be also. It's something. Everything is about respecting the culture, respecting the traditions, respecting the law, and being a good citizen. That's what would be my advice.
I would say 100% agreed on the respect thing, on the learn the language thing. It's true that experience, if you keep speaking English in Spain, will not be the same as you speak Spanish. It will be totally different. So it's not like northern countries where you can speak English with everyone. It's not the case. It's much better if you speak Spanish. So that's super important. Fully agree with you. Now I was also my take was more follow your guts. I just take on my personal story because I lived obviously in Belgium. I lived a couple of years in China, and I almost lived in North Europe, in Denmark. And it was a moment where I was looking for a change. I was looking for another country, another experience, an adventure, and so was looking for opportunities. Found one, signed a contract. And then it was the moment to go and get there, and we went with the family. We spent a week in Denmark, and we're like, wow, we didn't like it so much. Denmark is a fabulous country. Probably we're not at the right place or at the right moment. Denmark is a great country, but it was not the right moment for us. And even though the conditions were nice and so on, we're like, there was this gut feeling that said, that's probably not the right moment for us. So I think it's super important to study, to respect, but also to follow your instinct. And it goes before any, let's say, tax advantage or any special fiscal conditions. I mean, try to lead the adventure, and not go there for any specific condition. It's just an instrument that will help you to spend better time, but it's really important to live your own adventure.
Thanks. So I understand Spain is also really well done for entrepreneurs who want to commit, to learn, and to be respectful. What would be your advice from the advisory perspective, but also from your personal experience?
Well, I think we agree in this point, Inmaculada and me, from the legal perspective. Mainly, the main advice will be, of course, to know what the law states, what will be the exact regime they will be subject to here in Spain, and what are the considerations that they must bear in mind, how that legal regime will affect them in the day-to-day, so that they bear in mind that what are the main characteristics of the legal regime, and that's the idea. I think know the law, and try to avoid any kind of surprises in the day-to-day.
Yes, actually, I agree with you three. I mean, it's before coming. You are just not on vacation, you're gonna live in Spain, you're gonna work in Spain. That means there are like some implications. Always I say that it's like immigration is labor and social security and tax. I mean, we have like a lot of clients saying, oh, I don't know I have to pay taxes. I don't know I have to contribute in Spain. And this, you know, is like a bad surprise. And also it could go, I mean, it could implicate fines, and it's not nice because, you know, you are so happy to be here and to, you know, to work here. And this would be my advice. And also not only for like the individual itself, but also for the employer who is allowing his employee to work in Spain. Because it's true that now we are starting to see like that the Social Security Administration and Immigration Administration, they are crossing information, and we're starting to see that they are starting to revoke visas. That means this is something that it's very important to know, to comply with the law and to know the implications of being a digital nomad visa in Spain.
Okay, thank you. When preparing this panel, we had a discussion with Thomas. Was saying, look, of course, there's incentive and so on. So you may come to Spain for kind of incentives, but actually you don't stay in Spain for incentives. You stay for lifestyle. So I think that's very important. Respectful, to wrap up a bit the topic. It's there's a lot of things that make you come to Spain. Of course, there's a lot of progress to make in terms of transparency, in terms of legislation, to be more flexible and so on. But Spain already made a good step forward in comparison to a lot of countries. So I think there's a lot of things very positive. I'd like also maybe to share with you if you have some question in the audience. I don't know if there's some question also from the chat, but feel free to ask. Yes.
Thank you for the very interesting presentation. I kind of disagree a little bit about the first study everything, because sometimes when you start to look at all what you have to do to move, then you will say, let's not move. So I would say, like Thomas said, if you really feel like doing something, just do it. And of course there will be things to solve and things to do, but I think you should first decide to go and then figure out the list, because if you start with the list, maybe you will never move. But anyway, and related to that, my question is, do you see, I don't know if it's profile or nationalities that are more, I don't say if it's adventurous or more willing to do those steps. I'm from Belgium, and I see a lot of Belgian friends who see us, who have moved to Spain, like 1,500 kilometers, like, wow, super adventurous. Although it's at the end of the day, once you have solved the list, it's not that a big deal. So is there a profile or people, or how can we motivate more, if we are here, Northern Europe people to do that experience, even if it's for a couple of years or 5 years or 6 years, and show the kids another culture? What do you think, and what can we do as a Chamber of Commerce or this next gen to promote and to encourage people to move and to try more things?
Who wants to take up the question? I think just by having this Chamber of Commerce as the next gen, I mean, this kind of initiatives, just spread the words that it exists, it works. There's a lot of people within the area who are entrepreneurs, not only Belgian, of course, but there's a lot of entrepreneurs who are getting into and want to promote what their experience they get, and they want to make it very concrete. So from the people that I can see in Spain coming from Belgium, there's a lot of very nice initiatives, and want to promote to just existing, spreading the word. That's very important, and also making concrete.
Also try to live the experience, even if it's for 2 weeks, 1 week. I mean, let's have like, I don't know, short vacation, not vacation, but short stays here just to experiment the country, the city. I mean, I think this is at the end what is important. You know, this is when where you realize that okay, I feel well or not, and you can take a better decision, I think.
Well, you have the data of the people that the countries. I can say my experience from Ashoka. They are mainly the profile are people from 25 to 40 maybe years from northern countries. The weather, it's not a joke. It's one of the main reasons. It's incredible, but because of the weather in the northern countries, they come to the Mediterranean places. And yeah, the adventures, of course, if you need to be a little bit of challenge and adventure to your life if you want to, of course, emigrate in these type of conditions. There are different types of immigrations, you know, but these type of conditions you need to be, of course, adventurous and of course want to have this experience. And what I was saying about studying, it's because you can be a little bit disappointed if you don't study just nothing. At least to have the main idea of what's the law and what's expected. Because as Inmaculada said before, they can be disappointed when they say, okay, I have to pay taxes, I have to be a citizen there. Yeah, so it's the basic study. Okay, what do I need to come? Not the long list, but what are the basics to come to Spain? But that's the profile of Ashoka, the citizens that come.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, I understand of course the point that we must incentive if we think this is going to be attractive because I think there is actually a double interest here. We have the interest of the country in attracting this kind of profiles, but we also have the interest for a digital nomad to come and render services from Spain because the obvious attractive of the country. But we are just speaking about like a minimum knowledge of what are the basic legal issues that they must know, because they will be subject to a very specific regime depending in the case. So from the legal perspective, I think it's just like a minimum legal advice they should have before coming to Spain.
Marc.
Yes, question for the legal and tax department, let's say. I was nomad 20 years ago, and even if I'm traveling a lot, I'm living in Madrid, so I'm not so updated with the last, legal obligations. But let's say that to take a concrete example, I'm a self-employed in Belgium, as we are the Chamber of Commerce of Belgium, and I come and I stay, and I work here in Madrid, let's say, in my little apartment, but I'm still residing, let's say, fiscally in Belgium for at least 180 whatever. Do I have to pay tax here, or Spain doesn't care, or doesn't catch me, or I don't know, or if I pay everything in Belgium and I'm fiscally resident there, what's happening? Am I a nomad? I am only on vacation with my computer? What's the situation, the real situation?
I think this is a very specific question, but for fiscal issues that it's not our area of expertise. I think we have another panel for fiscal issues.
Fortunately, you're right, Victor. The third panel, Marc, is about taxes. So we will answer all your questions then.
But it's true that apart from the fiscal point of view, I mean, if you're gonna be a digital nomad in Spain, you need to think about social security contributions, where you need to pay them. I mean, everything is not only tax, it's also like social security. And that's very important. And we have an agreement. I mean,
yes. We have in the area of the European Union, we have sort of agreement with some countries that have signed that agreement. And it is true that there are several requirements. We are not going to detail of the requirements because we could be here all morning, but there are several requirements in order to be subject to that agreement that gives flexibility regarding the social security regime. So for instance, but it's a flexible regime for, as I was saying previously, for ordinary employees. We do not have this for freelancers or self-employed people. That is an important point that I think in the next years should be, treated at least at European level.
And maybe we have 5 minutes left, so that's good. We're on time. Thank you. I had one question maybe for the audience. What kind of profile do you see? So I'm working for a tech CRM company. So I know there's a lot of very tech profiles, very high talented. You were talking about highly talented people. So what kind of profile do you see more as a digital nomad? I don't know if someone wants to comment.
As digital nomads coming here.
Yes, yeah. What kind of profile are you?
Implement the expertise which is not here. I think even though it's like probably in every sorry, it's as in every country. There are always gaps. I was for Captur, for instance, we got a PhD in director capture. So there are probably 10 in the world, and luckily there was one in Madrid. But if we would have turned down the opportunity, well, we might have come somewhere else, get someone out of, I don't know, any other country in Europe. Now, I don't know if it would apply in the digital nomad framework, but there are always very specific profiles that you cannot find, definitely. But there is a huge, at least potential here to start with, but there will always be profiles you cannot find.
So moving forward, you can definitely leverage on the digital nomad legislation to make people come with high profile.
To fill the gaps, exactly, yeah.
Actually, for digital nomads that are coming from non-EU countries, it's very regulated. That means they can apply for this type of visa only like high-skilled professionals. That means they are professionals who had superior studies, like a degree, a master's, and also they have a minimum wage. That means not everybody, at least from non-EU countries, can come and apply for this type of visa. I mean, this is what the law aims to attract this talent people, like these talented people, to contribute to Spain.
Okay, thank you. I'd like to thank you all, and maybe just having the opportunity of networking a bit about Captur, about Ashoka, social entrepreneurship, and of course, if you need some advice, BDO is definitely well placed also. So thank you very much for your attendance, and hopefully we'll be learning a lot of interesting things in the next panels. So thank you very much.